Imagine waking up one morning as one of the most powerful men in the world, and by nightfall, you are dead, executed by the very empire you just bought. Not conquered, not inherited, bought. Today we're diving into one of the strangest and most unbelievable moments in Roman history. The day the Roman Empire was literally auctioned off to the highest bidder, and how a wealthy senator named Didius Julianus became emperor for just 9 weeks. And if you love untold stories of power, betrayal, and the madness of ancient history told in a cinematic way, make sure you're subscribed right now and turn on notifications, because the stories they didn't teach you in school are the ones that change how you see the world. The empire is exhausted. The long reign of Marcus Aurelius is over. His son Commodus ruled with paranoia and spectacle before being assassinated. After Commodus, a respected elder statesman, Pertinax, is elevated to restore order. But Pertinax makes a fatal mistake. He tries to discipline the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard were not ordinary soldiers. They were elite imperial bodyguards stationed in Rome itself, kingmakers in armor. They had grown accustomed to bribes, privileges, and influence. Pertinax, trying to restore fiscal discipline, refuses to shower them with the massive donatives they expect. So after only 87 days on the throne, they storm the palace and kill him. Now imagine the chaos. The emperor lies dead. The Senate trembles. The people panic. And the Praetorian Guard realize something terrifying and tempting. They control the capital. They control the palace. They control the throne. So they do something no one had ever done before. They put the Roman Empire up for auction. Yes, an auction. According to ancient historians, the Guard literally stepped outside their fortified camp and announced that the imperial power would go to whoever paid the highest price per soldier. It sounds absurd, almost like satire, but it was brutally real. Enter Didius Julianus. He wasn't a general commanding legions at the frontier. He wasn't a conquering hero. He was a wealthy, experienced senator, respected, yes, but not a dominant figure in Roman politics. He had served as consul and governed provinces. He had prestige, but what he had most of all was money. When Julianus hears about the auction, he rushes to the Praetorian camp. But he isn't alone. Another wealthy contender, Sulpicius, the father-in-law of the murdered Pertinax, is already there, bidding. Picture it. Armed guards on the walls, Rome holding its breath, and 2 men shouting offers over stone ramparts. Sulpicius makes an offer. Julianus raises it. Back and forth. The guard listens carefully. They are not debating philosophy. They are calculating profit. Finally, Julianus shouts an outrageous sum, 25,000 sesterces per soldier. An astronomical bribe. The Praetorian Guard accepts. And just like that, Didius Julianus becomes emperor of Rome. Not by bloodline, not by conquest, not by divine destiny, but by purchase. The Guard escorts him to the Senate, swords drawn, essentially forcing the senators to ratify the decision. What choice do they have? Outside are the same soldiers who just murdered an emperor. The Senate confirms him, but Rome does not celebrate. The people gather in the streets, furious. They hurl insults. They throw stones. They call him a thief of the empire, because even in ancient Rome, there was a line, and Julianus had crossed it. He tries to calm the unrest. He promises reforms. He attempts to present himself as legitimate. But the stain of the auction cannot be erased. And far from Rome, 3 powerful generals hear the news. Septimius Severus in Pannonia, Pescennius Niger in Syria, Clodius Albinus in Britain. Each commands loyal legions. Each sees opportunity. Severus moves first. He declares himself emperor, claiming to avenge Pertinax. His troops, hardened frontier soldiers, support him enthusiastically. Unlike Julianus, Severus is a real military commander. As Severus marches toward Rome, city after city declares for him. Meanwhile, Julianus panics. He attempts diplomacy. He sends envoys. He even tries to have Severus declared a public enemy. But no one believes in him. Why would they? His authority rests on a transaction, and money cannot inspire loyalty in the face of marching legions. The Praetorian Guard, the very men who sold him the empire begin to waver. They realize Severus is coming. They realize they might have bet on the wrong buyer. Julianus scrambles to raise defenses. He orders fortifications. He tries to rally support. But the people of Rome despise him. The Senate sees the writing on the wall. And when Severus approaches the capital, the guard does something almost poetic. They abandon Julianus. The Senate swiftly reverses course, declaring Severus emperor. And on June 2nd, 193 AD, just 9 weeks after buying the throne, Didius Julianus is sentenced to death. An executioner enters the palace. According to sources, Julianus reportedly cried out, "But what evil have I done? Whom have I killed?" It's a haunting question, because in his mind, perhaps he had only participated in a corrupt system that already existed. He paid what was asked. He played the game. But in Rome, power without legitimacy is fatal. Julianus is executed. His body is given to his wife and daughter for burial. And Severus enters Rome as emperor, beginning what historians call the Year of the Five Emperors, a chaotic struggle that would reshape the empire. If you're still watching, this story alone proves something wild. Sometimes the most unbelievable chapters of history are completely real. And if you're enjoying deep dives like this, take a second right now to like the video. It genuinely helps push stories like this to more people who love history as much as you do. Now let's go deeper, because the auction of the empire wasn't just a bizarre event. It was a symptom. By 193 AD, Rome's political system had been rotting from within. The emperor depended heavily on military loyalty. The Praetorian Guard had evolved from protectors into political brokers. They had assassinated before. They would assassinate again. But this was different. This was open commodification of supreme power. It shattered the illusion. When Severus finally took control, he understood the lesson clearly. He disbanded the Praetorian Guard entirely and replaced them with soldiers loyal to him. He knew that any emperor who depended on bought loyalty was already doomed. The Severian dynasty would bring temporary stability, but at a cost. Increasing military pay, empowering the army further, and accelerating the empire's financial strain. In many ways, the auction marked a turning point. It exposed the vulnerability of the imperial system, and it revealed something timeless about power. Legitimacy matters more than wealth. You can buy a title, you can buy votes, you can buy silence, but you cannot buy belief. The people of Rome did not believe in Julianus. The legions did not believe in Julianus. Even the men who took his money did not believe in him. And when belief collapses, power evaporates. What makes the story even more fascinating is how modern it feels. Political influence traded for money. Institutions bending under pressure. Public outrage colliding with elite deals made behind closed doors. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes. Julianus wasn't uniquely evil. He wasn't a tyrant drenched in blood like some emperors. He was ambitious, wealthy, opportunistic, perhaps even naive. He thought the transaction would secure authority. Instead, it exposed weakness. And that is why his reign is remembered not for reforms, not for wars, not for grand architecture, but for humiliation. The emperor who was sold, the emperor who bought, the emperor who lasted 9 weeks. There's something almost tragic about it. A man at the pinnacle of Roman society, reduced to a cautionary tale told for nearly 2,000 years. Imagine standing in that Praetorian camp, shouting your bid over stone walls, believing that history would remember you as a ruler. And instead, history remembers you as a punchline. But here's the deeper layer. The Roman Empire did not fall that day. It continued for centuries in the West, and even longer in the East. Yet moments like this were cracks in the foundation. When supreme power becomes a commodity, when soldiers become shareholders, when loyalty is transactional, stability becomes fragile, and fragility invites chaos. That year, Rome would cycle through multiple emperors in rapid succession. Civil wars would erupt. Legions would clash. Ambition would spill blood across provinces, all sparked by one chilling announcement. The empire is for sale. If this story surprised you, Share it with someone who thinks history is boring, because nothing about this is boring. It's raw, dramatic, and stranger than fiction. And as we close, think about Julianus' final question. What evil have I done? Maybe the answer is this. He mistook access to power for ownership of it, and that mistake cost him everything.